Welcome to join us. Please stay tuned for a program produced by Richard Dugan and researched and presented by Elizabeth Stewart, who welcomes the great artists of our community. What follows is a conversation of an artist's experience about the artist's response to trying times, creativity, reinvention, recovery, and of course, flex.
That's great that everybody except you and I have the same background. That's just adorable.
We're on it.
All right, stand by. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. You are live, Elizabeth.
Hello, Santa Barbara. It's your chantress of everything valuable and beautiful. We have a full screen. It's like dominoes here. Richard was just saying how cool it is. We have how many? 9 folks?
Hollywood Squares.
Yes. So, and we are celebrating It's a Wonderful Life. And I realize not everyone is ready to say It's a Wonderful Life, but this is the play that, it celebrates a wonderful life. And I want to welcome to the show a number of lovely people. We have some of the production staff and some of the performers from the production, Ojai Art Center Theater. We have Hadley Julka, we have Adam Dunn, Amber Shea Hodge, Gay Lane Jones, Paul Carpenter, Philip Nemi, Emily Hall, and of course our producers in the bottom square, Richard Dugan. And I want to start the show by introducing Gay, who's going to introduce the assorted lovely faces that are in front of me here. Gay taught theater at El Dorado High School for 34 years. And the Black Box Theater there was named in her honor, the Gay Jones Theater. She served on many different boards as far as the thespian world is concerned. She is on the EdTA Board of Directors as president, and she sets the policy on that board for 2.4 thespian sponsors. I guess it's 2.4 million?
Million. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Sponsors and professional members. She's directed at the Ojai Art Center Theater for 18 years. She received the Ojai Art Center and Ojai Arts Commission Lifetime Achievement Awards. She's working in this particular show, It's a Wonderful Life radio play. Richard, you should be interested in that. By the way, guys, Richard has his background in radio theater. And she's worked with 30 cast and staff members to bring this production. It's a Zoom presentation, and it is December 12th and 19th at 7 p.m. And so she writes to me, in this stressful time, I hope that our production can bring the message of renewal. So important, so important. Everybody's nodding their heads. So Gay, would you be the MC for a minute and introduce everybody that's here a little bit, and then I'll add my own 2 cents.
Okay. Welcome. We're so happy to be here and give the artist interpretation of what we need to do in this crisis time of reevaluating our lives and losing loved ones and caring for loved ones. So I think the message of the play is well crafted. Phil Nemi has the iconic role of George Bailey, and I really like what Phil has done because he's not trying to be Jimmy Stewart. It is a new interpretation. Emily Hall is Mary Bailey, and once again, she is not trying to imitate Donna Reed. You just can't imitate Donna Reed and Jimmy Stewart, but she has her interpretation of it. It's wonderful. Paul Carpenter is Clarence. He has a great deal of fun with overseeing and being the lifeblood of the difference, well, the connection between heaven and earth. And he has a great time coming down to earth and taking care, leading George through some trials and tribulations to understand what his life is. Amber Hodge and I have worked together for many, many years on many, many productions, and Amber plays the young Mary. So if you see Emily down there and Amber up there, Emily plays the young Mary, and the first time we meet young George in the ice cream scene at Gower's drugstore. And then Hadley gets to play the young Violet, who we know is kind of the woman of the town, whom George helps out quite a bit. We have an absolutely genius of a technical person on this staff right here, Adam Dunn, previously working for Disney until Disney closed a lot of things, and he's noted around town as being the technical whiz and video editor and yeah, exactly. So he's been our technical guy throughout. He's going to edit our final product before we give it to Broadway on demand. And then on the December 12th, you'll be able to see it at 7 o'clock, or the 19th at 7 o'clock. And if you buy one ticket, you get to see it as many times as you wish between the 12th and the 19th. So that's with ShowShare. So I think that's it. Like Elizabeth said, we had 27 cast members. The show is called a live radio play, and it's really written for 5 who play all the roles. We just happened to have, we had 40 who auditioned, and I picked 27 cast members who play multiple roles, just like a radio show. And then I have 7 staff members, and 5 of those are running staff. So it's incredible costumers and producer and stage manager. So I think that kind of gives you the idea of where we are.
So I want to address a question to Philip Paul Nemi. And, you know, I did read his bio, and it's really impressive. And so, dear listener,
all lies.
Really, it's incredible, Paul. So, film and TV executive at Disney, worked on a lot of productions, and you know, all of these I know. Remember the Titans, Princess Diaries, The Crew, Civil Action, Pretty Women, Runaway Bride, The 13th Warrior, Nothing to Lose, Romy and Michelle's High School Reunion, Eddie, Judge Dredd, In the Army Now, Guilty as Sin, Swing Kids, Consenting Adults. He also supervised some of the production of Jerry Bruckheimer's biggest films, Coyote Ugly, Enemy of the State, Armageddon, Con Air, Crimson Tide, The Rock, Pearl Harbor, etc. And my question for Philip, so you're in with the cast. Some have less experience than you in the theater world, and I want to know what your impressions are of the cast. And I also would like to know your impression of, if I can be so bold, of Gay's direction, having come from your eminent background.
Well, if I want to get cast again, then I got to be careful what I say. No, I've had the pleasure of working with Gay on a number of productions, so you know, I like what she does. One of the best things about doing community theater in Ojai, and Gay and I both kind of share this philosophy, is, you know, if you've got youngsters, young performers who have really don't have a lot of experience but are interested in the theater, give them a shot. Put them on stage. Let them start learning, because if you plant the seed early, you develop a love for the arts, not just theater, but music, dance, visual arts of painting and sculpting and jewelry making and so on. So the whole mission of the Ojai Arts Center is to provide an opportunity for anyone in the community to get involved. So we recognize going in, we will be working with some people who have experience and some that don't. But fortunately, everybody that's involved embraces the philosophy of, look, we're all in this together. We can all learn. I continue to learn new things. This whole experience of working with Zoom has been a learning experience for me. So, you know, I'm not scared away by the thought of working with less experienced people. There are even some in the cast who are more experienced than I. We're a team. Gay has assembled a terrific team, both in front of the camera, if you will, and behind the camera. And she has a real masterful way of working with young kids. I don't know that I could do it. She has the ability to, you know, we like to refer to it sometimes as the traffic cop, directing traffic here and there, but she also has a way of inspiring in these kids, you know, getting them excited about what's happening in the moment in the scene and getting them enthused. And I think that's why a lot of these kids continue to do her shows. I mean, Amber's a perfect example. I had the pleasure of working with Amber early on when she was much younger in a production. And here she is again now as a teen. And her talent has grown immeasurably. So for me, it's fun. It's fun to be able to see that happen with performers in the community.
So Amber, I'm going to throw that to you now. So Philip is saying that, you know, you started with him in a production and your talent has grown. And how, by the way, how old are you?
I'm 17.
17. Okay. So what's it like working with some of the people that have a lot of experience like Philip?
It's amazing. I mean, honestly, it's a gift because I started with him when I was 12. So I was in a production with Philip and Gay directed it. And I had so much to learn and grow from there. And I'm still learning so much. And you're never going to continue to stop learning. And doing intergenerational shows are so important because you're learning from the young ones. And you're also learning from the people who are playing the leads and the people who are, I mean, above you in some way, but they're not really, because everyone's a cast and everyone works together as one unit. So it's a gift, definitely.
So I have a question for Gay. You know, the Ojai Arts Center Theater did a production of It's a Wonderful Life in 2008. And I don't know how this is different. Obviously, that will be Adam's, you know, response, how he's putting this together technically. But beyond the technical, how is this production different for you?
I'm going to say that I think we've done 4 productions of it. I did not direct the first one. Someone else did. But then we did the live radio play, but it wasn't this edition, not by PlayScript. And then we did the musical. And then we did another version of it. So obviously we relate to this and respond to it. So Zoom is another world. Philip and Emily and I often will say we've constructed some Zoom acting tips that we didn't know going into this. Like you can't overtalk each other and the music has precedence and takes whatever. But the idea of learning from each other also with Zoom is we have some 8-year-olds in the cast who are teaching some of the 80-year-olds on how to use Zoom and turn your cameras on and audio's on and off. So there's a bit of tutorial going on there. So we're continuing learning. So, and I'm going to, if you wouldn't mind, Elizabeth, let Adam chime in on this because this is our second show together.
I will, but Richard's giving us a sign we got to go to quick break.
Okay.
And last night I played with some maybe appropriate music and maybe it'll make your cast smile. So the music is my curatorship and probably it's terrible. But anyway, let's have a little quick break. When we get back, I want to talk to Adam about the technical issues because I heard today, you know, the Rubicon in Ventura is doing, they started off a production on Zoom. They're doing a Scrooge. And then they said, no, we're just going to go to film because of the limitations of Zoom. And I wanted to know Adam's impression of that when we get back from the break. Don't turn that dial. I'm speaking with a lot of cast members and production staff from the Ojai Arts Center Theater. And we're celebrating the fact that they were bold enough in these times to bring us the play. It's a Wonderful Life radio play. And it will be December 12th and 19th at 7 p.m.
Sorry about that, Elizabeth. Jumped the gun there. My apologies. You are clear. I am sorry. I jumped the gun on the music there. Elizabeth, are you there?
I'm right here. I'm here. I was checking on the dog. I didn't see him for a minute.
Sorry about that. I jumped the gun on the music.
Oh, no big deal. Yeah. So yes, Adam, I want to talk a little bit about that. And and then also Paul, I want to talk to Paul a little bit about the fact that, you know, you write in your...
Sorry again. You might want to front announce with the appearances time. By the way, to the technical people, do you tell everybody who is using Zoom, specifically the actors, the participants, to uncheck the box, automatically adjust audio level or volume?
Yeah, so on some of those I do. It depends on their lines and stuff.
Well, everybody's should be turned off because that's where people get cut off. If one person's audio is too loud, I do Zoom theater for readings with friends through Ed Geron, who's a local actor. He's a programmer on the station as well. And that's one of the first things that I tell both our programmers as well as the actors. It's one of the protocols. Uncheck that box because otherwise, if somebody comes in and steps on your line, you won't hear both of you. You will get cut off.
Good idea. We'll look at that.
By the way, how many know of Norman Corwin?
I do. Yep.
Ever heard of Moat Farm Murder?
Yep.
That was my very first radio theater that I produced back in Phoenix in 1981 with reel-to-reels, carts, vinyls, and live cast. And it was a blast.
That's amazing.
Okay, kids, we're coming back. Stand by. In 3, 2, 1, you're live.
Welcome back. It's Elizabeth Stewart. I'm talking with the cast of It's a Wonderful Life radio play under the direction of Gay Jones. And we're talking a little bit about, the challenges doing theater today. And it's so interesting because over the period of, since March, Richard and I switched gears. We changed the show's format completely. Talk about the artists and the artist impact on the pandemic. And we've had a number of people speak to us from pretty important theaters. One thespian said, this is an art form that's been around for 8,000 years. It's not going to go away, no matter what technical difficulties we might encounter. So I want to ask Adam a little bit. Before the break, I was saying to Adam, who's the technical consultant on the show, It's a Wonderful Life radio play, that, Zoom has such limitations. And Richard actually chimed in that he produces a radio play for Ed Geron. And he's got some ideas also how to do a good Zoom presentation. But Adam, and here again, I don't really know technical stuff, but tell me a little bit about some of the challenges that you faced.
Yeah, so again, doing Zoom is, doing a play over Zoom is always so hard because you don't know everybody's internet connection and everybody's computer setup and everything. You hope that they have a really great one. You can always just encourage everybody to connect their computer to internet via hardline internet connection. And then also when you're also recording Zoom, because I record the show and then I take and edit it, the actors don't actually see what I see. So I am seeing something completely different. I actually am moving actors around to have them next to each other, like Mary and George. When they have a scene, they are actually next to each other. And the actors don't see that. They just see empty boxes, screens turned off. But it's definitely a learning experience, and then helping everybody with their virtual backgrounds. That's been a thing. People have had to buy green screens. Some computers are too old for that. So I've actually lent a gentleman one of my computers so that way he will be able to participate in this and won't have to get recast. But yeah, finding everybody's strengths and weaknesses is
I didn't know that. That's really nice of you. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And so, Paul, I want you to chime in on this because I know you're a software nerd. So tell us a little bit about what Adam's doing.
He is stage managing and orchestrating a multi-dimensional problem. There are, 6 different possible platforms. Each platform might have various versions of the software. The software is different from one platform to another. Some people have access to some settings, others don't have access to those settings, and Adam gets to instruct with, okay, there ought to be a thing on the upper right. No, I don't have that. Okay, what platform are you in? Oh, well, then you don't have that, so you need to do it this way. And so he's just amazing in providing that sort of technical support and expertise.
And a question for Gay. So Gay, you know, you've done this show before, and now you're doing this radio play. What strengths does the Zoom offer that perhaps a theater stage has not?
Good question.
You know, one of the focuses on Zoom is spotlighting whoever's speaking, and particularly Paul as Clarence and Tom Hall, who plays Joseph. They're on stage literally 2.5 hours. And what happens then, they've got to act with their faces or their chest up and be on stage. And we've talked a lot about active listening, about you can't be too much, like you're nodding your head the whole time, or you can't go, oh, if it's not appropriate. But this is really important, I think, for actors, and particularly young actors, because I teach a lot of classes around the nation. And when I do a workshop in drama, I find that the kids are very stone-faced because other teachers and other subject matters want them to be that way. And I'm saying that to us in Zoom performance is just critical to show your faces, your eyes. You've got to show us. So I think, to answer that, Elizabeth, I think Zoom really focuses on the actor's face and hands and knowing what scope they can go. I went outside the camera range, but I can't stay here because I'm hiding. So it's awareness of from chest up, I think, is a real Zoom focus.
Interesting. Interesting. So Richard, you're giving us a sign we got to go to quick break. Okay, let's go to quick break. When we get back from the break, I want to talk a little bit to Emily about her experience in the performance. She has a really interesting background, and I'd love to hear her take on what it's meant to her to be in this production at this time. So don't turn that down. We're talking with the cast of It's a Wonderful Life radio play at the Ojai Arts Center Theater under the direction of Gay Jones. 2 performances, the 12th and the 19th at 7 p.m. And we're going to learn from Paul how to access that as well. Don't turn that down. Back in a minute.
It's a wonderful life. It's a wonderful life.
All right, you're clear.
Love the theme music. That was great.
That is great.
I must say one bonus about doing it on Zoom, and I wish I would have mentioned this, was that everybody is mic'd.
Oh,
Everybody is mic'd. Everybody is mic'd in Zoom.
By the way, Adam, I've been in this business of a broadcast radio, in particular audio, for over 40 years.
Yeah.
I only started editing video as of this past July.
Right.
And it's with this Zoom theater that I've had to do that. Now I'm using a program. Again, every program's different. I know of, I have a videographer friend who told me the number one thing is to stay organized. But he said that, he says that every program is pretty much the same, and editing video isn't that much different from editing audio. Obviously now you're dealing in frames, but it's one of those things where I haven't figured out yet how to isolate and move the squares around if I'm doing gallery view. And that's the way we usually do it. And we play to the camera rather than to each other. And that seems to work out fairly well, but that's where we're at right now. And I'm just trying to continue to raise the bar. So I don't know how you are taking the different squares and shifting them in that
Watching
regard.
Adam do that is
but I'd love to learn how to do that.
It's amazing. And I'm going to hopefully connect the two of you, because Adam has a way to do it that is a really, like Phil says, we watch when we're not recording on how he shifts people around, so George and Mary are next to each other.
Right, and that's what I tell our cast too. I said, do not use your screen as your template. I have the screen. And we did a couple of plays where I'd say, okay, raise your right hand. Okay, you're playing to your right. And then the person that they're playing to, raise your right hand. You're playing to your left, and so forth. Now, I just did the opposite of what
I
the right
know.
and left hand were.
Yeah. So, and then what else I'm also doing throughout the show, besides recording and moving people around, is I'm also the Foley. So I'm actually making live sound effects as well. Doors closing, bells, getting punched when George punches Bert and all that. So I'm making live sound effects as well. So I'm juggling that one as well too.
Oh no! And now we're now working on getting somebody who can handle the entrance of people, admitting people, so that I can focus on all of that, the sound effects and any music they want to.
Right.
If we're doing a live production, if we're doing a recorded production, I add those in post.
Right.
Yeah, so actually Haley did all of our music transitions for it. She did all of our music transitions and she recorded that beforehand, and I will add that in post.
Very cool. All right, stand
yes.
by. Here we go. We're coming back. 3, 2, 1. You are live.
Welcome back. It's Elizabeth Stewart. We're talking with the cast and production crew of It's a Wonderful Life radio play. And, you know, Richard was quizzing Adam, who's the technical consultant on this production, about how he works the Zoom theater. And I understand from Gay that she's going to hook the two gentlemen up. It's a learning curve. I want to introduce to the show Emily Hall. She's actually caught my interest. She's a third-generation Ojai Art Center theater actor. And I guess her exposure to the theater led her to a classical voice, flute, and piano, and also Bachelor of Music and Vocal Performances from the University of Redlands. Now, she teaches all around Ventura County, and has been doing Shakespeare readings with the Shakespeare 2020 LA project. So Emily, what's this experience been like for you?
Well, Zoom is fascinating in itself because I'm not super well versed in straight theater or film, and Zoom kind of requires theater actors to move into the film kind of style of acting a little bit. It focuses so much on the facial expression and just really minute movements that I'm an opera singer. I'm used to being huge. And so that has been really interesting to develop my skills with that. So I've been doing the Shakespeare 2020 LA project, which actually didn't start on Zoom. It was created by Ian Desher, who wrote the Star Wars Shakespeare books, if you guys have heard of those. But he created that back in January. And so essentially the goal was to do one Shakespeare reading a week. So that's what we've been doing. I just started about in August, but I've done many, many shows with them since then. And it's Zoom also, the rehearsal time is really condensed. So you have to learn a lot, and it's a lot of work for each actor. And I think in a way, the fact that each actor has a lot of responsibility put onto them. You know, you can't ask another actor, oh, do you know where my hat is? You just got to know where your hat is. So in a way, the responsibility that each person has in having to carry their own weight and work together within the Zoom atmosphere, it makes everybody a really, really excellent team, which is just great. And it's something that really need, especially right now, you know, the idea, and especially the story brings it out so much, just being selfless and working together and all of that. So Zoom has been really humbling for me.
So I want to ask Emily, you know, so you're talking about a number of platforms in which you perform, and the feedback from your audience, is it any different, the feedback from a Zoom audience, than you would have an immediate feedback, for example, from the, say, an audience in front of you? They're applauding, they're reacting, you can see their faces. How does the audience response measure up?
It is so much harder to bring yourself to the emotional depth that you need to in a scene when you don't have that feedback. I mean, live theater is so special because it's such a symbiotic relationship between the actor and the audience. And especially when you're doing comedy, if you don't have that laughter, you're like, did I land that joke? Did I not? And yeah, I would say it just requires a whole new level of connection with the character and real time kind of reacting to yourself, and you're creating that audience in your mind. So it requires a lot of imagination on the actor's part.
Hadley, you're shaking your head yes.
Oh, well, I definitely agree with Emily on this. This is, I think, my third Zoom production. And it's just been interesting for me to see how each production, even though we're using the same platform, the same media, how each one has been completely different from the other. The first one I did a production of Midsummer Night's Dream, except we called it Midsummer Night's Stream, with Amber and Emily at the beginning of the summer. And this is when everyone was still trying to figure Zoom out. So there was lots of trial and error and, well, can we stream on YouTube? No, YouTube's not letting us stream this, so let's try and stream on this other platform. And yeah, it's hard to do without the audience there. I think the last show I did on Zoom was a production of She Kills Monsters. And that, I think, was my favorite one I've done so far, just because how we did that is we made a Zoom room. And we had everyone come into the Zoom room, and the audience turned off their cameras, but they were there. We knew they were there, and they watched. So it was like being in a theater, except it was just all online. And when I was hearing my director talk about it, I was like, okay, this sounds cool. I don't know how it's going to work, because what if someone turns on their camera or their sound and it interrupts the show? But it didn't. It worked. People went on, they saw, oh, turn off our camera, turn off our sound, and watch. And it really felt like they were there. But yeah, I also agree with Emily that it's really hard, because when you're doing the show, you have no idea, like, do they like it? Does the audience like it? Because we can't see that reaction. But so far, I found at the end of the show, we have this huge, oh my goodness, that was amazing. That was incredible. I love that so much. And that's just been really gratifying to hear.
So Gay, what Hadley is talking about is, do you, after the show, open up the chat lines on Zoom? Or, I mean, how do you know how the audience is responding?
I'm going to say that's a show, Broadway On Demand show share, because once we turn this video over to them with the Dropbox, they manage everything. Now, what we're planning, though, is kind of fun. We're doing a pre-show gala, red carpet event, before the streaming on 12. And we're coming in our pajamas or whatever we want and bring food and compliment each other, because I'm going to say this, our real audience in this point is our fellow ensemble members, because when an ensemble member compliments each other about some little nuance that they did, or I'm always after Phil about doing the word Mrs. Bailey, because he calls his mother Mrs. Bailey, he calls his wife Mrs. Bailey. And that's another Zoom thing with the nuance of vocal production and vocal nuance. Just by the way you say things, it has a different interpretation with Zoom. So I think in this respect is the audience is each other, because they know what's possible and they see the growth of the scene, or they see the nuance that's happened. So I really like that aspect of it. Like Emily said, you may not have an audience, but you have each other. And it's such, I'm an ensemble-based theater person, and I work with classes and theater classes on forming an ensemble for the entire classroom, period, and cast. And I feel that helps with Zoom, even though we haven't seen each other, we feel like we've been in the room with each other since March. Oh yeah, I just saw you. And then I go, oh no, I really haven't seen you, but I've seen you virtually. So it's a whole other world, but boy, is it valuable for actors, I think, to experience it.
So I wanted, when we get back from the break, Richard's giving us time, we've got to go. I want Philip to talk about, the experience he's had with years and years of film.
Yeah.
and how this actually has, well, how should I say, how Philip's experience with film maybe has helped us understand the kind of the nuance that Emily's talking about and Hadley's talking about. And also, I would think that Philip can talk to us a little bit about the idea of distance, you know, so you're on stage and there's 15 feet between you and King Lear.
Yeah.
But when you're on camera and film, I mean, it's very immediate. The face is right there. So I'd love to hear Philip's take from, you know, his years of experience when we get back from the break. Don't turn that down. It's the Ojai Art Center Theater, their production of It's a Wonderful Life radio play, and it's December 12th and 19th at 7 p.m. And Paul is going to tell us eventually how we can connect. So don't turn that dial. Back in a minute.
All right, you are clear.
Hey, Paul, you have the website, right, to Ojai Art Center Theater?
I don't.
I'm gonna run and get a post. I'm gonna run and get a poster. I'll come right back. Okay.
Oh yeah, I have a poster here too.
And Paul, if anybody sees that poster and they scan that QR code, that will take them directly where to buy tickets.
That I know, yeah.
I still need to post that on Instagram. I've been meaning to do that.
What are you doing, Emily? Come on.
I know,
I can't. I need to post it as well.
Weirdest thing for me to say. I don't post on Instagram enough.
Oh, by the way, guys, last night's footage, so good.
Great.
So good. I'm so happy we're able to flow together some scenes together because it really helps.
Except for my scene with Phil where iPad wouldn't stand up.
You mean even my little, cuss word accident?
I know. I wrote that. I said, you might not want to say S blank T.
Last night. How long was the footage? I think that word has to go away. Because now it's digital. So how many zeros and ones of good footage were there?
So right now we're just in the recording process of rehearsal. So I just record it just to see and move things. So we're about 2 minutes of a show. So we have a 2-hour show.
You got 2 minutes of 2 hours.
Right.
When I did Moat Farm Murder, which I said was my very first, and it was right around my 21st birthday, we spent 33 hours producing that radio theater. And I was so disappointed on the one hand that the final production was only 18 minutes long.
Wow.
That hurt. But then I began to realize, oh, okay. There's a lot of, there's just a lot that goes into it.
Just be happy it's not animation. An average shooting day on a feature film, if you shoot 2 pages of script a day, you've had a really good day. Television, you shoot 8 to 10 pages, you've had a really good day. In animation, if you capture 30 seconds, you've had a great day. That's how long it takes animated films.
And Elizabeth, I'd be happy to speak more to Zoom and how it differs from stage and film. I know you've already asked Mary and Philip, but I have some thoughts on that too.
All right, here we go, kids. In 3, 2, 1. You are live.
Welcome back. It's Elizabeth Stewart. And all great things are said during the break. And Philip and Richard and Adam were talking a little bit about Philip's experience in Disney. And I wanted to address the nuances that Gay was talking about regarding, the shooting time and the closeness of the camera to the performer. Philip, do tell us, you were talking about animation versus film versus stage versus Zoom. I'd like to hear more.
Just from the technical aspect, a feature film, if you shoot 2 pages of your screenplay in a day, you've had a really good day of work completed. In television, if you shoot 7 to 10 pages a day, you've had a really good day of work. In animation, because everything is a drawing and it can take so long, if you shoot 30 seconds of film, you had an amazing day in animation. So it can take forever. From a nuance point of view, and Emily and I have had to kind of face this, and that is, even if you shoot a stage production, the actor experience is still a stage production. We're not really, changing and adjusting ourselves to film because we're in that performance on stage. The cameras are moving to capture the stage play, if you will. When you shoot a film, you have that ability still to be close to your actor, touch that actor. Really, you have an intimacy that's captured on film. With Zoom, it becomes a whole new world when I innately, as the character, want to reach out and touch my wife and hold her and hug her because I'm alive again and I see her. I physically am limited because I can't. We're in two different rooms. We're on Zoom. So, as a director, Gay has had to figure out, how do we capture that? How do we change our normal instincts as actors to adjust to this medium of Zoom? For me, that's been the biggest challenge as an actor, is not being able to have that closeness that you feel, physical closeness that you feel on stage, or the intimacy that you capture in film, where you're really close on somebody's eyes in that moment where two people are falling in love. We've been able to do that now through Zoom by reaching out to make it look as if we're touching, to leaning in, to find, and Gay's come up with innovative ways to kind of get that point across. So that's been, at least for me, the biggest challenge as a performer.
Gay, you are shaking your head and agreeing. Do tell.
Well, there's a point that that Phil and Emily and I had to experiment with, and that is the kiss. There's no kissing on Zoom. I don't know if somebody's figured out a way to do it. Let me know how to do it. But we thought turning profile right, profile left, leaning toward each other, and that just looked hokey. It didn't work because Phil was taller than Emily or whatever. So we came up with this subtle thing, which Phil is mentioning. It's very subtle. It's very camera oriented, but not camera oriented, in which they just lean forward, and it's the anticipation that they are going to kiss. We hope they will. And in the mind's eye of the willing suspension of disbelief, the audience believes that they kissed. Thank goodness, because the relationship which they built. So
The true solution in the Zoom COVID area is to cast identical triplets and twins and have them quarantined together in different houses, so that when you play the room and you go to kiss, one twin the other, and now you cut back to the other room and that other twin is, that's the only way you get that across.
Yeah, we do have a family of 3 children, ages 6, 8, and maybe Arshana's 12 or 13, I think, in one family, and they're sharing. They can touch each other and they can punch each other, but boy, the rest of these people can't. So it is.
That's a mechanism that's been used in television and film for years. You cast, when you're dealing with young kids, you cast twins, you cast triplets. So because you can only have a child in front of the camera for so many hours due to labor laws, so you get away with that. Well, maybe in the Zoom world we should start thinking about that.
Adam is cracking up, the technical consultant. I can see him laughing away there. Paul, I want to hear your take on this.
I guess I've done 12 Zoom productions now, and wow. It's been a revelation to me as an actor. Zoom takes elements of stage, takes elements of film and TV, and it adds something all its own. It really is a metaphor for the COVID era, where all of us are alone together, and each actor is their own cinematographer, wardrobe master, prop master, sound person, everything. We each have to do it ourselves in the privacy of our own isolated way. So, for example, if we pass a prop to someone, well, I have my prop, they have their prop, it matches, and through the magic of Zoom, it looks like that prop is being passed to that other person. And so there are lots of conventions of that sort. Another thing that other people have touched on is in film, the close-up, the closer your face is, the less you do. And in ultra close-up, you just feel. You don't actually do anything. On stage, you can't get away with that because no one sees your eye move just a little bit. With Zoom, you can have something that's betwixt and between. You can express deep emotion in close-up, and you can also, to some extent, use body language in a distance shot, although you don't have the same distance as stage. Likewise, when you're doing something close up, you have to have your voice get a little smaller because of the microphone, and you have to have your voice be a little larger when you're farther. So there are lots of adjustments that an actor has to make to have a really excellent Zoom production. It's a different medium.
So Richard's giving us, go to quick break. I want to ask Gay when we get back from the break. So, you know, those of us that do business on Zoom, like myself, used to be face-to-face with my clients. I wonder if you could offer from your experience now directing this, some practical tips for those of us that do business on Zoom in regards to how to come off as genuine, authentic, and an expert in any particular field. I deal with this in my own business world. Whereas, you know, I used to actually have the experience of getting up close and personal with painting and then the client. So I can't do that now. I have to do this on Zoom. So how do I make myself the expert that I know I am in my face and my hands right here in this little tiny square? Like to know an experienced director's response to that question when we get back from the break. Don't turn that down. This is the Ojai Art Center Theater, their production, It's a Wonderful Life, radio play on December 12th and the 17th at 7 p.m. When we get back from the break, Gay's going to give us some practical tips. Don't turn that down.
Spirit, show me no more. Why do you delight in torturing me?
I told you, these were the shadows of the things that have been. That they are what they are. Do not blame me.
Leave me.
And you're clear.
Very funny.
Thank you. I didn't choose
Richard,
it.
I just sent Elizabeth an attachment of the flyer, and it has the information on it. So I don't know if you're able to use that on how to buy tickets. So it has at the bottom the www site.
Got it.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
And
also,
remember, once you buy a ticket, you can watch the show as many times as you want from the 12th to the 19th. So when you see it the first time and you're so amazed, then you can immediately start watching it again and be amazed again. And then the third time you can say, okay, now I'm going to watch it for the technical aspects and all those amazing things Adam does. And then the next time, oh, I'm going to watch the amazing performance that Hadley gives and the nuances and so on. And so watch it.
So
watch
obviously, Adam, you have managed to coordinate the actors, all the performers, especially when it comes to background images and that type of thing.
correct. Yeah. So a lot of them, we have asked them to purchase green screens or have a white sheet behind them because our computers can do virtual backgrounds. So, for instance, Paul had the hardest time. Not Paul. Phil had the hardest time with his background. He used a white sheet. He was turning into the green screen, and the background was not. So he finally got a green screen, and I helped him with some lighting tips because, you know, with doing the green screen, you have to have lighting. So you actually have to have lighting the green screen, a light on the floor, shooting on the wall to identify the wall so the computer can see that, and then a light on yourself. So I really had to explain with all the actors to have that 2 light. I really encourage ring lights. Ring lights are amazing because you can get those color temperatures and everything. I think everybody's pretty much got a ring light now, and green screen or not. And people are working off iPads and computers and Macs, and it's just been,
it's amazing.
Been very fun.
All right, we're coming back. Final segment, Elizabeth. You've got 4 minutes, 45 seconds. 3, 2, 1, you're live.
Welcome back. It's Elizabeth Stewart. I'm speaking with the cast and the production crew of It's a Wonderful Life radio play at the Ojai Art Center Theater. And by the way, tickets everybody get your pencils out. It's www.ohiact.org/IAWL. If you want to find out more about buying tickets, and the experience of which, once you buy a ticket, you can watch the program as many times as you want. So if there's folks that are listening that are interested in how Adam has produced the technical aspects, you want to see a pro at work in Zoom Theater, or you can watch it for the technical aspects, or you can watch it for the brilliant performance aspects as well. Gay is going to talk to us a little bit about her superior directorship on a Zoom performance, so that maybe we as practical individuals that are doing our business on Zoom might have a tip from a master. So Gay, please.
Thank you, Elizabeth. I'm not sure I consider myself a master. I've considered, like Emily said, we started back in the dark ages of trying to figure this out, and Adam would give us tips and we'd work on. But I'm going to say from my point of view, because I do a lot of workshops around the nation for theater students and teachers. Tomorrow I'm teaching a workshop for 100 thespians from Michigan that I will never see again. But the idea of engaging them on Zoom is one of my main purposes, because theater engages people, and learning ensemble techniques on Zoom is just as important as being in the room and creating your circle of actors, so to speak. And I think of it this way, Elizabeth, and that is, we still have an ensemble and we still are there for each other. So just like you're doing, Elizabeth, the leaning in kind of thing really helps, and engaging with people, looking them right in the eye. Now, the things that I have to be careful of is being distracted by the dog that I have at home, or my husband who walks in the door, because I just looked at him and I said, close the door, and he didn't understand what I was saying. I thought, well, that's not worth it. Let's come back. It's that distraction that we don't have when we're in person, because we really are shut in a room or in a classroom or a stage or whatever in which we are there. So I think the mastery of what else I've learned this week is not being on camera and trying not to side coach. It's being like the theater director in the back of the theater, and you hear voice, a disembodied voice that says, I need you to do this, whatever, whatever. So I've had to experience what it would be like if I were on stage listening to this. I don't want it like you have to do it this way, but I also have a sense of urgency that that line needs to be said correctly. So I think even working with your camera off for a director is a whole new experience. So the tips are, be the person you are, but also honor the actors that are in the room and the technical people in the room, because I could not do what Adam's doing. I could not bring George to life like Phil does, or Emily, or Hadley, or Amber. I could read those if someone's missing, but their interpretation is so honorable to the ensemble. So I think being a person that understands where an actor comes from. Now, I'm a SAG-AFTRA radio performer, so I understand a little bit about it, and I like how people treat me professionally when I'm working on the SAG-AFTRA radio shows, and I hope that we've instilled that with the Ojai Arts Center Theater as well, because it is community theater. We're all volunteering our time, but we're also made up of a lot of professionals. So hopefully some of those tips will help.
Before we leave, Paul, give us another shout out about how we can best find tickets.
Well, the easiest way would be to hold your smartphone or tablet up to the QR code on the poster, or you can go to the ohiact.org website and click on the AAWL link.
Thank you all, and wow, it's a wonderful life, huh?
Thank you.
All right, you are clear. Thank you all. What a wonderful program. I'm not going to say it.
Okay, so what Richard's going to do is he's going to clean this up. It was live just now, and then it'll air again tonight on AM 1290 at 8, and then it'll air again Sunday at 11, also AM. And then I will send to Gay the footage, quote unquote, of this particular show. Okay. And Richard, I think, Richard will, and we have an agreement with the with the station that once we do these performances, these shows, the actors yourselves, you actually own that. So if you want to use little clips, or if you want to use the whole thing, or if you want to put it on the website, it's here for you. So
play it backwards,
it's yours.
If
Huh?
Adam
Play
wants
it backwards.
to flip it, whatever you want, Adam.
I flipped it. Yeah.
Slice it up.
I'll turn everybody into chipmunk voices.
There you go. I like that.
Tell me again, it's AM 1290 tonight at what time?
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock.
And then Sunday at
PM.
11. Okay, AM 1290. Well, this is wonderful.
Now, I have another live Zoom meeting here at 11, so I'm going to have to ask all of you to depart, but I thank you so much. Exit stage left.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Elizabeth.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Hello, hello.
Well, she can be on for Name That Plant,
What was
but
the
she
big
always
one?
interrupts on that too. Like,
What did you want her to hold off on?
well, at least till after the first break.
Oh, well, let's tell him.
Hello.
He can probably hear us.
Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Lisa's gonna call in, but we want her to wait till after the first break.
All right, then if she calls in before, then I will just put her on hold and I'll let you know she's there.
Perfect.
I thought so.
How was your thing?
How are you two doing?
Good.
We're doing good.
Glad to hear it.
Let's see. This is just the standard thing, right?
Have you heard any more about the shutdown, Richard?
No, I have not. My wife was planning on going to get her nails done today, but she's also thinking that they may be closed because of the new restrictions. So we have to.
They're not yet because, well, I'll talk about it on the show, but I know they're not today, even though I got an email yesterday saying it was happening today, but everyone's sitting outside eating at restaurants in Montecito. So I don't know what to believe.
I don't believe anything I see anymore.
I believe what I see. I don't believe what I hear.
There you go. There you go.
Is your ringer off? Or are we going to get startled by it?